Wax On, Wax Off, the podcast where a teenager gains wisdom and insight from pioneers and innovators that have come before in search of how to win in every facet of life and change the world. I'm your host, Solomon Cole, and let's get into today's episode. So, today, special guest, my uncle, Adam Mason, absolute legend. He is a founder of a nonprofit, owner of a nonprofit. He has started his own, what would you call it? What's the word? Farm.
Farm.
But like, yeah,
it's an LLC.
Yeah, he started his own farm. He has done a lot of really, really cool things, and I'm excited to have him on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is really funny. Okay, I'm gonna start it off. What do you do, and why do you do it?
So for my occupation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am a farmer. We grow pasture-raised meats. On the farm currently, we grow turkey, chicken, eggs, pork, and beef. And everything we do is pastured centered. So it all completely surrounds about the soil life, the grass involved, everything, all the animals working together in this almost symbiotic dance with each other to produce some of the healthiest meats that you can find in around. Why do I do it? Oh man, that's a big question. One, I have a passion for it. So, gosh, I got to think about that. Like why? Yeah, I would say I'm very passionate about that. There's something incredible of seeing the like the triune connection between plants, animals, and humans. And when all those are managed correctly, you get healthy results for every one of those. So that probably sums up why.
How did you, I mean, because it's quite a niche for sure. How did you get into agriculture and farming? And then how did you get into, I guess you could call it regenerative farming?
Okay, so I'll go way back because, all right, so I was going through, okay, so I'll go back. I grew up in a really rough area in California, in Los Angeles County area. We had drive-bys and bomb squad on a regular occurrence.
The good things in life.
The good things in life. It was the quality life for a child in upbringing. And so I never had any exposure to agriculture or anything like that. And so always had a love for wildlife. I would go hunting, so that was something I really loved. And so, but that led me to like, I got into music, and I thought I was going to be a rock star. Stupid nonsense dream. And so in that, I guess, after high school, I was going to college, and my cousin referred me to a class in forestry, and I kind of always, it was something that I'd had interest in. And so I took these courses, and I took a plant identification class, and that changed me, because I was like always trying to be the cool kid. And then it was the first class that I actually got an A and was good at and really liked it. And that's all we did was like identify plants and learn about plant families and stuff. And I was geeking out, like staying after class, geeking out with like these nerds, and this like struggle between the rock star and like, oh my gosh, am I one of those nerds? And yeah, you are. And so that really like set me down this like path and passion towards plants, and got really good at plant identification. And so that led me to a job that I was a utility forester. So I was checking power lines in various areas. And I got on a special project out in Arizona that we went through the whole state of Arizona, checking these locations of the power companies' power lines and checking vegetative loads and stuff. But I was in these areas of Native American tribes, and I could not believe the level of poverty that I saw there. And and God gave me this vision that I would grow food for people who couldn't grow it for themselves. And that was an odd vision to me because I did not know how to grow food. And so I revealed that to a mentor of mine, and he helped me steer my path and career towards going and getting an education at a university and studying that. And so I was on this path of doing landscape architecture because I did like doing landscape design. But then ultimately what happened is I met somebody that was in the plant science department and transferred over to that major. And that was a great decision because I was at the time I was like, well, how am I going to feed people if I'm doing landscape design? It made no sense to me. Like, that was it's for aesthetic and wasn't helping anybody. And so when I was in there, I was really intimidated by the classes. It was like plant physiology and chemistry. I'm like, dude, I'm not smart enough to do this. Like, there's no way I can do this. And I talked to some people like, no, you can do it. Like, it's like, there's help for it and tutoring and stuff. I'm like, all right. So I got on that track. And it was one of the best decisions. So fell in love with it. First time I got on a tractor was at Cal Poly Pomona. And just like bought in on the culture, and was good at it. And what was crazy, I felt like because I found this passion, this like course of knowledge that I was passionate about, it was like a revelation to me because I was getting good grades, so it was very fun for me. And so then that led me to after I graduated, I was like a student manager at the time, and we lived on the university farm, and then they hired me as the farm manager. There was a vacancy after I graduated, and so I managed like over 400 acres. We grew like over 90 different varieties of crops in there, everything from fruit trees to field crops to vegetable. I mean, it was everything. And so hang on, what was the question? I think I'm getting off track.
No, you're good. We were talking about like how did you, because farming is such a niche, like what was how did you know that you were like, this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to? Okay,
yeah. So through going through that plant science department, I always was interested in the animal aspect, though, because I focus a lot on my I kind of tailored my degree to pasture management. I'm very proficient in that, and then but I like you don't have healthy pastures unless you have animals grazing. And so I was like always like interested in that and studying that as well, kind of on the side. And during school I was like, yeah, I want to own a farm someday, but it really just never seemed like, because in the mindset of a Californian, it's like you're never going to own land enough to make a living in California. Off the land.
You can maybe have like 4 chickens.
Yeah, with permits.
You have to get a chicken permit.
Yes, it's true. So, but yeah, that was okay. So then, yes. So during after Cal Poly, I graduated and I had this education, and the whole reason for going to Cal Poly was this vision, this growing food, for people that couldn't grow for themselves. And so after graduation, I'm like, okay, like when is this going to happen? Like I have this knowledge now. I know how to grow food. Um, how's this going to happen? So I was like, all right, I'm done waiting for something to, like, sit on my lap and, like, okay, here I am, ready to, ready for this vision. So I went to visit friends of ours that are a couple that live and manage an orphanage, a very well funded orphanage in Haiti. And so as we just like, all right, let's go. We'll just take a vacation. We went out there, and on this trip, she has friends out there that are, they had a very small orphanage that they funded completely by themselves. And so they had 12 kids, and they tried to do it on themselves. And these guys are like, they'd be considered like middle class Haitians. I think at the time, a day's wage there was like $5 a day. That was like a good paying job. And so they were probably, in like the 7 to $10 a day kind of thing. And so they're trying to take care of these kids too. So we went into this orphanage, had a boys and girls room, and as I walked into the rooms, I'm like overwhelmed by the stench of urine. And I'm like, what is going on? I was like, Jimmy, why does it smell like this? He said, well, we can't afford diapers, and the kids wet their beds every night. And so, and they had these like thin little foam pads for their mattresses on this like metal, like these beds that were just like poorly made metal framing. It's like, maybe an inch and a half of foam, and the foam started to erode away because of the urine. And so he said, we try to hose it down every day, but it's so humid that it doesn't dry out. And so all that urine and stench was just sitting there rotting. It was like, I was like, this is unacceptable. Like, no kid should have to live like this. So as soon as we got back to the States, I fundraised. I was calling people saying, hey, I'm going back. I'm asking for donations. And so we had people donating sheets, toys, cloth diapers. And then I took by myself, I went back by myself. I took over 300 pounds. It was like these huge duffel bags. I was hauling these things around the airport, over 300 pounds of gear. And then the vision for it was, instead of like, giving a person a fish, it's like give them a fishing pole and teaching them how to fish. And so, so I went back there, I built beds for them. We got the kids like, mattresses, mattress pads, like, or covers, mattress covers. So if they wet the beds, they could wipe it down, sheets, all these things. And then I had some funds left over. We tried like a beta aquaponic system, and an aquaponic system is an enclosed loop system that you grow fish in a tank. As the fish poop, that manure goes up and filters in, and the plants then pull out the nitrogen, clean the water, and then out come clean water back to the fish, and it's all powered by solar. And so so then we did that testing, and I knew I was coming back. And so I went back 4 other times after that. And I did a goat project, and then we did a larger scale aquaponics project. That whole thing ultimately starting the vision that I was given, plus helped the start of the nonprofit, which is called HEAL, HEAL. And so that's kind of like that whole movement from, upbringing all the way to then is kind of where I'm at today. And that would lead into like what I'm doing for farming. But
yeah, I mean, you talked about that God gave you this vision that you were going to use this random tool, farming, to feed people.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how did you know that it was God? And then after that, I guess the second question would be, what does your relationship with God play in your life?
So I guess I have I guess I don't know. How I know it was God is that, like, why would I chase after that? Like, I knew guys that were starting, making $60,000-$70,000 out of college, before even graduating. There was a lot of money to be made. I never had any desire to do that. So like, yeah, I guess that's a tough question. Like, how do you know it's God? If you've experienced Him, um, you know His voice, and if you are building a relationship with Him, um, there's a closeness. It's like, how do I know when you call, it's your voice, right? Like,
I guess you become familiar with, if you were talking to him, you become familiar with his voice, and then when he speaks to you, you know that it's him.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So it was like
totally.
an undeniable, like, and I don't know. In that case, it was like, yeah, well, I don't like, this isn't a desire I have. Like, and like, how random. Why, like, a guy that doesn't know how to grow food? Why would I like have
Yeah.
that thought? So
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's a road a lot less traveled by people, because it's not like, it's a very hard thing to be successful at.
Right.
It's super, super hard.
Mhm.
And then especially down the road that you went of regenerative farming, which is an even smaller niche inside of the small niche,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the regenerative farm thing is like, that route has come because of, I don't know. God gave us this gift in the form of earth, and to like pollute it and toxify it, is a slap in the face to God. Like, thanks for this gift. Like, you give me a painting and I'm like, I just throw mud all over it.
Or like stick your
Poke
knee
holes
through
in it. Yeah, set it
Yeah.
on fire. Like, so yeah. So I think our, on the farm aspect, which I haven't got into, but that's a, like, there is no other option of farming that way, because how could I take God's creation, and destroy it for economic growth and wealth? Like, what does that profit you? Like, okay, so your bank account's full, but your land is dead.
Yeah, and that goes for so many other things. If your bank account's full, but you're sacrificing stuff for yourself, that's like, you shouldn't be doing that, and it's not going to fulfill you. Maybe the money will give you some sense of freedom because you have money, and then you don't have to worry about money. But then there are a lot of other things. Like, I think of like Andrew Tate right now. He always flexes like, I have this much money. Dude's in prison for whatever the heck he's in prison for, and like, that's a perfect. And there's so many other. What's the one dude who he did like stocks and bonds, and he now he's in prison for like, they
Bernie
just
Madoff?
Yeah, like that's another
It's a Ponzi scheme.
Exactly, but that's like it's another thing. You get a bunch of money, sure,
Right.
but you sacrifice your soul. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've always been an uncompromising person too. When I set a goal, it gets started for that, and I don't compromise. Like, on some of the things I do in my, like, personal life.
Have you ever wanted to compromise?
Yeah.
Have you ever compromised?
Have I ever compromised? Well, yeah, I'm a sinner. I'm not a perfect person, but
I guess a better question would be, how do you keep yourself from compromise? Oh, that's so good.
How do you like, how do you keep yourself from compromising?
Yeah, like, if you set a goal for yourself, because that's the most important thing to being successful, is setting goals for yourself and executing them. and personally in my life, I struggle with. I'm great at setting goals. I just can't keep them. So like, what advice do you have for people like me who keep setting the goals but can't execute?
For me, it's like a driven thing. Like I'm also kind of like I'll show you kind of person. But like I guess I take that attitude of like I'll show you and I'll do it to myself. Like, oh, you're gonna fail? Like, oh, I'll show you. And no, I'm not gonna fail. It's just like a drive that I have that I won't, like my cold shower thing. Like I will not take a hot shower. Like hot water, the hot water handle will not be touched by my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I've set that, and I've done it since December of 2017.
That's amazing.
And like have not touched hot water when taking a shower.
What benefits have you seen for that?
Oh, from that?
Yeah, like that's like a life hack.
You know, they say a lot of like there's health benefits. I think it's I do it just to keep my, okay, well, we've talked about this before, but I think like so atom, the individual atom makes up of like a triune. So like the mind, the body, and the soul. And so I think all three of those need to be balanced. And all three of them tend to battle each other. Like the mind and the body are constantly at war. And I think the cold showers to put my body into submission.
Which one would you say is your consciousness in this triune?
I would say so consciousness and what, like your, maybe that's probably part soul, part mind.
Yeah, but like you, because like I feel like a lot of, for me, like I am my mind, but actually that's weird. It's like I am my soul first, then I am my mind, and my mind controls my body. You know what I mean? Like the soul is the
but the body. See, I see the body as a way of it controls the mind. So like,
oh, it does totally. And then so if you do that, you're out of whack.
So self pleasure, right? Whatever it may be, even eating a donut to, you know, the ultimates of self pleasure. Like, when that consumes you, it takes over the mind. So the mind can't do anything rational. That's why you make stupid things, because of like stupid decisions, because of the body's strong urge for that pleasure. Mm-hmm. So I do it just, I think a lot to keep my body in check.
Mm-hmm. For me, it seems like a victory. Like if I do it, it's like that's the hardest thing I'm gonna do all day. I mean, that's not the case for everyone, but like,
yeah.
If I start my day off, I work out and I take a cold shower. First thing I do, wake up, journal, and then I do my workout and cold shower. And I get the two hardest things out of the day, and then I feel like a conqueror already. So everything else is like I can walk through that as if I'm a conqueror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I do that. And there's like little things too. But yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, and then there's a battle too, because you don't want the mind like getting too far. I think it's just this balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if the body controls the mind, then everything's out of whack.
Right.
Yeah, because we could get into this, but like I think a lot of people just like let their body kind of run it.
And yeah, absolutely. And then I think most people.
And then I think I would say, like, if we're using this like three, like this triune thing as an example for ourselves, I think that if people are serving or letting their body be served constantly, then their mind makes that habit of, I'm going to do this. But that doesn't actually fulfill you. When you're serving yourself, you are empty.
Yeah.
But the body doesn't want to work hard, you know? The body doesn't want to do the hard things because it wants to sit around, be comfy.
Yep.
And there's a time for that. You should rest. But I think most people, specifically in my generation, I think most people they'll be like, I'm burnt out. No, you just haven't built the muscle. Like you just can't, like you haven't even picked up the weights yet. Yeah. Like walking down the stairs to the gym freaks you out. Like then you're gassed. Like that's the problem right now. And I think that it's like, You need to, because that's when the soul starts getting messed up and anxiety and depression start coming into it, is because you're already out of whack from the beginning. You got to recenter yourself, refocus yourself. And I mean, some people are predisposed to anxiety and depression, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it will dissipate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it will dissipate. Like, and it's not
because you do that, and then your whole chemical imbalance is off. You know, you're not getting oxygen to the brain, and yeah. And I heard something. It said, if you want depression, think about the past. If you want anxiety, think about the future. And if you want a present, be present. And it was like, like if I'm so worried about my future or my past, of course that's going to happen. That's the outcome of it. Because you can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't control what happened because it already happened, you know? Yeah. So all you can do is be present. And I think with our technology, it's like, it's always like, what's everyone else doing? Then it makes you think, well, how am I going to get what they have? And then you start thinking about the future. Or you think about what they did and you're like, well, am I going to, why didn't I do that? And then that's where that cycle comes into it. I guess it's kind of a nice segue. What are your thoughts on social media? And if you could remove social media, and let's say social media, would you remove it? Okay, so what do I think about social media? I think it's a very powerful tool for connecting people across the world. Also, like connecting, I don't know, before social media, like you would just, I don't know, I guess it gives a lot of people that would have not maybe been, or people that have been socially awkward, like gives them an outlet to find like a group that they're a part of. Would I remove social media? I don't think so. I don't think I think it's too great of a tool. Yeah, I don't know how controversial, but it's like, oh, would you eliminate guns? No, I don't, because I think it's like an equalizer. Like as dangerous as it can be and damaging as it can be, like to remove that is taking away a really powerful tool.
Yeah, that can be used for a lot of good.
Yeah, it can be. Like,
yeah, I've heard the analogy that like you can use for guns or for social media. It's like fire. Fire can cook your food.
Sure.
Or it could burn your house down.
Absolutely.
Or kill an entire village, you know?
Yeah. So like with social media, it's like, okay, you know, if I was trying to ask for donations for the nonprofit, right? Like I would just pass out flyers and do mail and think like, you know, how can you get that? Or if you have social media, it's like a guy in Germany could want to support that, totally. Or, you know, like anywhere in the world, or like it's a very powerful tool. And no, I don't know how much TikTok and some of the newer like as flashy as it gets, and like I don't know that it's, I don't know. I could play both ways. I could be devil's advocate against or for it.
Yeah, that's the ADHD in us, loves the debate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the
I could definitely argue both sides.
Yeah, totally. I think personally for me, I would probably remove it. I mean, I wish we could go back to Little House on the Prairie days. That's where my mind goes. I do, just a little bit. Like,
no, you don't. To flip your light switch, like there's no lights.
I know. Go start a fire. Go freaking like.
Have you ever started a fire when it's -40?
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
I think it defines.
I think it's a romantic thing, but dude, no, there's no better time than now. Like, you know, how do you keep your animals inside? Like, how, you know, all food had to come to the animals instead of the animals going out. Like, no technology was around. Dude, no way.
I mean, Little House on the Prairie though, they had they had little like beep 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 beep, that thing. That was technology.
Oh, so like what era was that?
That was like, it was late 1800s, early 1900s. So it wasn't like they had trains and stuff, like you could travel.
Oh yeah.
That, like, I think that's the perfect era, because if you want to be in the city, you can be in the city, or if you want to be in the boonies, you could be in the boonies. You know what I mean? That's where I think we were best.
You still
can
society. Be in the boonies. You can
I wonder what
buy a plot in Alaska.
What the suicide rate was back then. Like,
probably very low.
Oh, I know, totally.
because you're surviving.
Exactly. And I think that's what we need as people. I read this book, it's called Flow. And Flow, pretty much what it talks about is talks about the psychology of optimal experience. And for us to have optimal experience, they use a lot of references of now, and then they compare it to like a tribe or people from a long time ago. So like a lot of the tribes, they spend 40% of their time, 30% of their time working. They'll build a house, they'll build a hut, work on a fire, work on some whatever they need to work on. No, hunting played a different role. So about 10 to 20% of their time they spent hunting. When you're hunting, it creates chemicals in your body that they make you happy, they make you excited, you're on edge, you're looking, and it's fulfilling for you. And then they talked about the other 30-40% was play, and play was super vital. Like they would go and they would worship their god, or they would go and they would like hunt for these like feathers or like these non-existent mythical creatures that were out there, but they'd run out there and they'd be so excited, and they had this imagination in this play. And I think the art of play in our society has been forgotten, and that's what the author talks about in that book. It's a great book, you should read it. But I think that we have forgotten that, and I think that if we went back to that time where we had some like creature comforts, but we were mostly off the grid, I think it would be so much better, and we would be happier and more united as a people, you know? Because we're so divided right now. Like it's not Civil War divided.
If that's the case, why don't you just come over and live on the farm?
I mean, I would do it. I mean, yeah, but like I've thought about going out for like 3 weeks just with a backpack and just see what happens.
That's what I did.
It'd be crazy.
It's pretty awesome.
Oh, actually, let's talk about that. Like, what would?
Hang on though. See, I want to know the per capita. What's the suicide rate in Haiti?
Oh, it's probably more.
People, I've asked
suicide.
People in Haiti like suicide.
Starvation.
He's like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Nobody killed. I mean, I'm sure there's.
You probably just die. You die of starvation, or you die of like
that's what
the
they're doing
mob
now.
or something.
But I've asked Haitians before about suicide rate. They don't know anyone that has killed themselves because they're striving for survival. Yeah. Here, all of our needs have been taken care of, and now all of our wants have been taken care of, and now this is like the societal like shift towards I think our brains are always trying to find like something to fight after, maybe like how we've
always liked conflict, but now that we don't have the conflict,
we create it.
Yeah, we literally everything is so perfect now that we start fighting over things that aren't even existent. It's like think about it. Let's use this analogy. We're back in Little House on the Prairie times, and we're like you and your neighboring farmer are like who's miles away. You're not gonna like argue about your sexuality or how they identify. You know what I mean? Like or who they voted about
like
for.
your crop. Like
your crop, you ask them
in
how
one year you could be completely without food.
Yes,
you know
exactly.
A pack of wolves could come in and kill all of your livestock, and you know you have a hailstorm right before harvest. Like you're done. You know, and then you have to worry about neighbors coming in and attacking you or whatever. Like, I mean, there was so many things you had to be constantly on high alert in a state of survival. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we'd be so much happier without social media. And something that's really scary is cancel culture.
Yeah, but see, okay, but you could choose not to be on it.
That's true. And
like people say, I'm gonna go back to the gun thing. Like you oh my gosh, we'd be so much happier. Nobody would kill each other with guns. Okay, that doesn't stop killing though.
Look at
people
England.
Stabbing each other with knives, right? So like, and it'd be so much happier without guns. It's like, okay, but why would you eliminate an incredible tool? You know.
What if the tool eliminates us though? Like in guns, the guns aren't shooting us, right? But like I think like AI, like what if AI like
shift into AI?
Well, that's what that's social media phones turned into the web, and then the web turned into social media, and then social media turned into AI, and then AI turns into.
But AI would be incredible.
I mean,
as long as it couldn't.
It does all my chemistry work for me.
I know. I I saw a video of that. That was like some guy hid a phone in his TI calculator.
Yeah.
And was doing his full algebra problems, like boom, and it pulled up and did the entire
it's
project.
so
Like,
easy. And you can get the work too. That's the nicest part, is you can get all the work done. Yeah, it'll do all the work for you. And then if you like need to do like papers and stuff, you can just write a paper like you can you can just like write the preface of your paper. And then it's not plagiarism because it's completely unique, because the AI isn't like copy and pasting stuff. It's completely unique. Schools has become irrelevant.
It really will. That's what I was.
I wrote a paper on that recently. Is like just jotting down my thoughts. Is like, school is going to become like, what will be the basic needs would be like basic mathematics, like learn addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But even that, well, it's nice to know it.
No, you need algebra too.
Do you?
Absolutely. Okay, just simple algebra. On the farm, like if I'm doing a spreadsheet, I need to know to write that code. I need to know what I'm looking for. It's all algebra.
Yeah, I guess. But even with like, if you have Neuralink,
simple algebra.
If you get Neuralink, then you won't need it. It'll just be. That's scary too.
It's pretty scary.
Because Elon.
That would be a huge separation of class.
Yeah, because Elon's like, he's like, no, it'll be only for medicinal uses. Sometimes I hear him talking, I'm like, you're gonna destroy us all. But then other times I'm like, you're such a smart person.
But look at the tool though, because his goal is to make blind people see, paraplegics walk. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, totally.
That's like Star Wars stuff. Like,
then those people, what if they like level up because they have that? Then what if they just like start getting all of the information? And then it's like the people who were disadvantaged become like,
but you are leveled up to is it Maasai in Kenya? The
Maasai. But those Maasai are, I would say, they're
okay. But you're leveled up. Yeah. Like your level of information and knowledge is 1,000 times what theirs is.
Yeah, but they can go walk with a lion and I can't. That's actually sick. I saw this video that the guys, they're freaking walking with lions and they're just like, the lions do not give a crap that they're there. The lions will come up and like rub against them and I'm like, what is going on? How do you do this? And there's like, Wim Hof did something with them. He's like trying to like create a walk zoo, like where he teaches people like breath work and then they can walk through like the savannah without dying. Because the Maasai, they like regulate their breathing. That's how the animals like. Because the animals
have years of adaptation to that. You know?
I don't know. That was freaky though. He's like, Wim Hof just says stuff, but he was like, we're gonna walk through the savannah. We're gonna like pet the lions. He's like, I gave one a hug one time, and Joe Rogan was like, did you though? And he was like, how'd you give a lion a hug? He was like, it was my first time. It was so cool. And I was like, no, I don't know if you did that. But anyway, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about when you were talking about farming and how you talked to your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say you're one of my mentors. What do you think the role a mentor plays in your life? And like, what is the importance of a mentor?
Yeah, if I didn't have a mentor, I'd be probably very lost.
I'd be a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I'd be scared to see who that person is. You know?
Yeah. I was probably at a crossroads. Yeah, it's definitely guidance. I mean, it's from age, experience, and their connection with the Lord. But yeah, it definitely led me down a good path that, I would not be the same person I am today without that. But yeah, I think it's important to find somebody, and it's tough too because like you see people that would mentor them, and I don't know. They are filled with compromise and
they don't know how to learn, because when you have a mentor, it teaches you how to learn from people's experience, how to learn from people's failures. I think that's vital, and that's why I created this podcast. It's really for the people without mentors or the people with mentors. Like, I'm just talking to people being like, will you be my mentor for 20 minutes to an hour, whatever. Like, will you just talk to me, give me your experience, and then hoping people can glean from that. And that's my whole point of this, because in people my generation, I don't think they have a lot of mentors. I think it's very few, because their phone and social media has been their mentor, and that's not going to lead you
plus,
anywhere.
like, I feel like people in my generation, very few of them
Our mentor material.
are mentor material. That's a great way of saying it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I know people that I saw that were like mentoring people, and I'm like, man, like what?
You lead people
Like
astray. I've seen that
Yeah.
before, and it's like
Even now, like some of like because I'm kind of the upper end of my generation, but the younger people, I'm like you don't have any authority to speak that way. That's what I think. Like I saw a lot of people like if you're gonna be a mentor, you have to be an authoritative figure that you've lived that out. You have not compromised. Without that, like what are you? Because there was many people in my youth who were like, oh, I used to do this, but don't do that. Like don't do it the way it's like. What?
it's like do as I
It's
say.
so
not as I
contradictory.
do.
I hate
Yeah.
hypocrisy. So yeah, I don't. If you're gonna be a mentor, you gotta seriously be. You have to be an example and show that through your life.
For people who don't have a mentor, what should they look for in a mentor?
Somebody. Okay, so if they're looking for a mentor, I would assume that they are struggling with something and they need guidance. So in whatever that guidance is, look for somebody that, like I said, has shown a life of example, and a proven track record. Like if you're looking for a financial mentor, like if that was it, you're not going to look for some guy that has like $100,000 in debt and you know living off the streets or something. You're going to find somebody that is proven success. Somebody that like doesn't compromise or is not cheating on what he says he is. So yeah, I would say whatever you're looking for, you have to find that, and depending on what it is, it could be very rare to find a mentor in that in that field.
Yeah, and I think even like I can't really speak for the side of like the feminine side, but in a man's life, I think men play a vital role, and like true men play a vital role in teaching these young boys. This is what being a man is like. And I know a lot of friends of mine that have had men that are not real men. In either they are like they emasculate, or they're on the other side and they're like this like over alpha, like it turns into an abusive situation where it's like and then both sides are skewed. And I think I've been doing a lot of research, and I think everything in life is about balance. True balance is key to everything. So it's like I think men should have like a gentler side to them, but I think they can also be strong. Like I heard this saying, it was better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And it was like, yes, exactly. Like I think a lot of these people that are like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be a man, I have to be a warrior. So then if I'm a warrior, I have to be constantly fighting people. No, you don't.
Right.
No. Know how to fight. Know how to protect.
Control it. Yep.
Yes. But be at peace.
Right.
Like be doing your passions, like follow your passions, but you can also be strong.
Right.
Like if your passion is painting or whatever, I don't know.
Right.
Something that would people be like, oh, well, that's soft. No, you can be extremely strong. And yeah, like Joe Rogan likes pool, but that dude could choke you out so quickly.
What's wrong with pool?
I don't know. I just think that's not like a fighter, like a warrior thing. You know what I mean? Like, or like
that's where Hell's Angels used to congregate, around the pool hall.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just what popped in.
I agree, but see, I think a big thing is that young women are not being mentored too.
Totally,
100%. And that's they're
being mentored by freaking like all of the a lot of the celebrity women who are like, get an OnlyFans. Or like the extreme.
If you're looking for celebrities for your mentor, like you're on the wrong track.
There are very few good celebrities who you could be like, I'm gonna be that. Most of the time, to be a celebrity, you have to sell your soul. That's what happens. Like, like there are very few examples where you haven't had to sacrifice or like give up a standard that you have for yourself to be
Yeah.
a celebrity, like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's tough for. Okay, you need to show the camera so they don't assume.
This is Palo
It's a piece
Santo.
of wood.
It's a piece of wood, and I'm lighting it.
No, I don't compromise.
He isn't compromised.
Yeah, I mean, there were some women that like helped with Katie, my wife, in mentorship too. But I think it's a really important that young women have mentorship too.
Yeah, and I think also having women in your life that are like, I don't know if you could say good women, but like having women in your life that show you this is what like a good woman is like, you know what I mean? So when you're looking for
uncompromised,
when you're looking for someone like, it's funny, the sap sometimes will like,
I saw it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Goes in our lungs.
Yeah.
Carcinogens.
Anyway, no, but like having a woman in your life to show you like this is what a woman like, same thing. I guess we could go into this. Dating. I think our generation has an extremely skewed view on dating and what dating should be.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is, in your opinion, what do you think is the proper dating? Like what should dating be? Because I think what dating is now is go on Snapchat, quick add someone, or see someone that looks hot, get their Snapchat them, and then it's like maybe go on a date with them, but honestly just ask for nudes. Like that's what people do.
Gosh.
That's what it is.
So I'm probably like Little House on the Prairie compared to what this generation is. Like
because a lot of girls hate it. A lot of girls
so
that I
like
talk
you're
to
saying
hate
stuff
it.
that I have no comprehension or understanding.
You don't even need to.
So what does that mean though? Is it just hooking up? Is that define what dating is to the modern day Gen Z? So
like right now I'm 16, right? So a lot of people my age, like the worldly view of dating is like either it's like this like kind of like childish like play marriage kind of deal. Like they're like, oh, we're fake married. Like we drive and we go shopping and we sit in our cars because we don't actually have a house. So we sit in our cars and we hang out and we do that. And then we make out, maybe hook up, whatever. And then it's like, and then we go back to our mom's house. You know what I mean? It's like, no, but it's play marriage. Or other than, some people are just like hook up. Like they just want like, yeah. But I think there are two sides of the schism. And I think that, that the role that Snapchat has played in like my generation's dating is just like you're scared to talk to girls. You don't know how to behave around them because you're just like, want to have sex? That's literally all it is. It's just like, want to have sex? And it's like some girls you have to like pretend that you're married to have sex and do that whole thing. Or some girls are just like,
yeah.
And I think that it's so skewed and men and women don't know their value and men don't know how to value women. That's pretty much what it is. It's been forgotten. It's a lost art because I think dating is this like, it's an art. It's this dance. It's this like, you have to value her and you have to do these things. So I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think that art, that dance is?
So I don't think it was as bad me growing up. I'm sure it was, but it wasn't like hooking up with like that kind of complete strangers and no ties connected to it. The way I would define dating is probably different than most, clearly than your generation's definition. I would say dating is the act of pursuing a girl because there might be an attraction there, personality, physical, that you want to enter into a deeper connection than just casual and get to know the person to see if that is somebody that you are wanting to ultimately be your wife or husband, in some people's cases. But Um, yeah, so I like, but yeah, to me, if you dating does not mean physically connecting with the person, um, or sexually connecting with the person. So um, I feel like your generation, you can be friends with a person. You're not gonna get married. So what is the point of like engaging in this like intense relationship with somebody, which will ultimately statistically end up in either broken heart or bitterness. And depending on how far that relationship went sexually, damage and baggage that you carry on to your next person.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, I mean, number one, with the damage and baggage, I think that God can heal and forgive any mistake that you've ever made. And that's something beautiful that I find in my relationship with God. It's like any mistake I make, like God can forgive me, but also if I'm truly pursuing God, I'm not gonna want to make those mistakes. And that's the beauty of it, because I hear a lot of people say like that don't believe what I believe, and they're like, well, if I believe in God, then I can just sleep around and be like, God forgive me, and then go sleep around again. And it's like, I mean, you could, sure, and God will forgive you. Yeah, you could, and God will forgive you, but like, it's not about God forgiving you. It's about like, when you want what God wants for you, you don't want to do the bad things.
Right.
They don't taste good like they used to. They don't even have you don't even want to look at it. You don't even want to like even think about it. You are just like, no, it truly brings you happiness and fulfillment. And that's the most important thing. And it brings you, that fills you with this love that you want to give to everyone. And you want to be like, this is the love that I've seen. I love you as a person, and I want you to experience this love as well.
Yeah.
But I think that like, it's just so sad, because what you said is like, yeah, it's like you, what is the appeal of it? What is the appeal of like this like, if you're not gonna marry them, like dating, the whole point of dating, and I've talked to people and they're like, no, dating is like figuring out what you want in a person, and yes, totally it is. But couldn't you be friends with the girl and be like, I'm interested in you romantically. I like you. Let me figure out who you are as a person. And then if they suck as a person for you in your specific case, then go to another person. And that's not dating. Done. No damage done. And I've made that mistake, and I've done the damage, right? I've been like, I've dated just because I thought it was fun. It felt fun. But the consequences of it were not worth the reward in any at all. The sacrifice was a lot bigger than the reward was. And I think that, I mean, that plays another role in anxiety and depression, is you've been hurt and you've been damaged by people, and then you're like, then that adds to all of the culture that pushes you to this anxiety and depression. Yeah, I mean, I think you should just be friends with people. Figure out like,
right. Well, and I think too, like I said, like, are you financially, intellectually to a point where where you can like take you and another person and become one unit and start a life separately? No, you're not.
And what are your, I always ask guys this, what are your values? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, if you're gonna do this, and let's say you get married and then you're gonna have kids, hopefully, what are your values that you're gonna impart to your children? And they're like, I have not thought that far. And I'm like, then why the heck are you doing it?
Right.
If you have no values for yourself, you are just messing around. You're, number one, you're wasting the girl's time, and you're wasting your own time.
Yeah.
Like, learn your values. That's what I think these teenage years are for. Like, personally, as much as dating looks super, super fun and it looks great because you want someone to care about you.
Yeah.
The point of this is to, it's called, they call it a time of solitude. And what solitude is, not being alone. Solitude is growing as yourself as a unit. And I think that plays a super huge role. And I know you've had to spend that time in solitude, and that played a huge role in your life. But solitude is, for me right now, it's, what do I value? How can I grow in my knowledge, my mental strength? How can I grow in my physical strength? How can I'm building for my future family. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm building for my future wife, because if she is as amazing as I think she will be, then I want to match that, if not be better than
Right.
that. And that is what the girl deserves. So right now, if you're like quick adding people on Snapchat, that's not what your dream girl deserves. Because if you're looking for your dream girl, she's not going to be answering your quick ads. She's going to be...
And other guys' ads, like...
No, she's not at all. She's literally... hopefully
Yeah.
she's not even on Snapchat, but maybe she is. Not that I'm against Snapchat, but I totally am. No, but like, she will be... If she's everything you've dreamed for, you want to at least match her, right? That's the whole point of
Absolutely.
this.
Are you worthy for what your dream girl is?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Let's talk about solitude.
Yeah. Okay.
So for you, what was solitude? What did you have to do? What were your struggles?
I want to call it solitude. I would say it was a.
It was solitude, though. You were like, I am going to focus
Okay,
on
when
myself.
I hear solitude, I think of like isolation. Like,
I think of like Superman's, like the Fortress of Solitude. That was Superman's like lair.
yeah, and it wasn't that. I have people around me.
No, but like,
Okay, I know what you're saying. I'll sorry, like clarify. So yeah, I think. Well, I got to a point where I had a long-term relationship, and that was, it was damaging, and so it was not compatible, and that led me down to like wanting to work on myself, spiritually, physically, you know, all of that, mentally, and I started just being so in tune with the Lord, and content with being single. I think, like I've always said, that you cannot be ready for a relationship or marriage unless you are content with being by yourself and single. And so yeah, that led me down. I mean, that was some of the closest times I've had with the Lord, and it's because you are 100% focused on that relationship. But that ultimately led me to, you know, what is my dream girl? Am I worthy of that? And you know, I believe I obtained that in my wife.
Yeah, totally. What were some struggles in your time with yourself? Like, what were some of your biggest struggles?
Loneliness. Yeah.
And like kind of wanting, like, you saw your friends with their girlfriend or whatever, and you were like, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
And you have to keep walking the walk. Like, that's for me right now. It's like, I see my friends and I know that I'm like, I look at them, I'm such a pessimist when it comes to it now, because I'm like, you guys are gonna break up in less than 6 months. And my friends hate it. I say that to them and they're like, bro, you can't say that. And I was like,
you know it's true.
I was like, you know it's true, and if you don't, you have the rose-colored glasses on right now.
Yeah.
But I think
the state of infatuation.
Yeah, it's like you want it until you actually think about it, and then you're like, wait, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Or you do want it, and then you just have to push through, and you have to be like, no, I'm working for like the prize. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you could probably ask the same person, like an Olympian, like, oh, you know, how much sacrifice you had to do. Like any professional athlete, like all the sacrifice they have, but their goal is, you know, the best, being the best for them, for their goal, you know, as a competition. Obviously, it's not that, but yeah, obtaining the best. And so, yeah, I think there was definitely stages of loneliness, but you know, I did journaling, and it's cool to look back now and like see the struggle, but it was always continually going back to like fall back on the Lord and that relationship, and that is where you need that to be concrete, to be, you know, in your case, like a man of your family, unwavering, uncompromising, because when you have that unit with you and your family, your wife and, you know, kids, someday you're going to need that. You're going to need that concrete foundation that can't be moved. And your kids, your wife are going to look up to you as the leader of your home and look to your example, so because someday you're going to be mentoring your kids,
Totally.
so it's striving after that. No, there's not a striving for perfection, but it's a but definitely there was cases of loneliness that are tough, very tough.
And I think like when you're in that relationship with someone, you talked about the values and how like when you're going to teach your kids, like you need to be strong in that way. And I think also setting while you're dating while you're dating anyone really, is the more the more concrete you stay in your physical boundaries. Like, I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. If you do that and you marry that girl and you stay to your word, she'll trust you. Like if you go out on like a work trip, she's not gonna be like,
right,
is he sleeping with other women?
Yeah.
She won't because you proved it in the pre-rounds.
Yeah, and that's the foundation you lay,
100%.
But yeah, so like if you compromised with her in your dating life, then there could be the thought of like, well, shoot, man, we compromised while we were dating. Like, what if we compromised when we were married? And there will lead to an insecurity. And maybe it's not a strong insecurity, but it could be very insecure, and then you just like lead to potential of like, fracturing in the relationship.
Yeah.
But that, like with what I did, I mean, we didn't even kiss until we were married. We dated for 3.5 years. And now like there is no trust issues at all.
I mean, that's like not the hardest thing, I guess, like no physical contact whatsoever. But like literally that's probably like one of the hardest things that you have to do in a relationship is like, no, I'm not gonna kiss this girl. Because you had kissed other girls before, right? And so then you know what that's like, but then you're like, no, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this. Had she ever kissed anyone?
She kissed one other guy. It wasn't like, it was just like a
no, but like
heck.
No, but yeah, still it's like
right.
Well, am I gonna do this? Like, even when you were engaged, like, that was probably when it was hardest, right?
That was, because you're like, what's the point of waiting?
Like we're literally
we're like, we made our commitment. It's just like,
yeah, but you did that, and that shows your fortitude and your strength in your marriage, and it's like you're investing in the beginning, and then you see the rewards later. And I think that's. Like, people view dating as this fun thing, and yes, there are a lot of fun parts of it, but it's also it is you are showing that you are strong in your will, in what you are going to do and what you're not going to do, and I think that's forgotten in this day and age because
absolutely
it's just serving the body. It's just, I'm going to serve me, me, and you wonder why you have anxiety and you're depressed because you serve yourself. You don't serve anything outside of yourself. You don't even have to believe in God, right? I recommend it to everyone. Go serve people. Go serve people in need. Go to a soup kitchen. Go help the homeless. Like, do something. You know what I mean? Like, that, you can't just be serving yourself because it leads you to a life of emptiness. And if you want to be empty, then be empty, whatever.
Right.
But no one wants to be empty.
Right.
And I think that's forgotten too, is because it's like, serve yourself. Or even like, oh my gosh, this was what pisses me off a lot, is that like the people that are like, I'm gonna go to a soup kitchen, and then they're like taking Instagram pictures and posting about it and doing it for likes. Like that's the whole, you're serving yourself. You're like, it's all about the motive of why you're doing it and then what you are doing.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I get, like, I don't want to seem contradictory. I mean, we did it so we could promote
totally
the fundraising side, but I could care less. Like, I'm not doing this for
it's all about the motive.
It was only ultimately to help the people. Like, I don't care, I don't want any recognition, but it's
you're trying to help the people that you're helping even more by using the tool like we talked about.
But I think that's important, though, that the building the foundation of what you want for your future. I think the hardest thing is kids in your generation aren't even thinking of that. And I didn't. At 16 years old, I didn't think of that stuff.
I
just think so present. You're like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
But there was nobody there to mentor me. Like, I had no figures in my life to be like, hey, like, what are you doing? What are you focusing on? Like, do you want that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of kids my age are thinking about this. My friends, like, they'll come to my house and they'll like come in and I'm in my room like meditating. They're like, "What is wrong with you? You're not a normal person." And I'm like, "Yeah,
That's fine."
Yeah, I'm actually happy that that's happening. So you talked about our generation. What do you think specifically for my generation? What do you see are our biggest strengths?
I guess I don't know enough. I mean, I guess as any new generation comes out, I think that ultimately, like, they are of the cutting edge in technology, like, or comprehending it at least.
Yeah.
Just because you're like completely inundated with it, like from birth. Yeah.
Most of us.
Well,
like there are a couple, but there are a couple.
Yeah, like you're probably still on the old side of that, but yeah, I mean, my kids' generation, like the alphas.
The alphas. That's freaky.
Alpha.
That's kind of scary. I feel like
it's awesome.
I think it's awesome where it's like they're just gonna like imagine this like it becomes like the giver. You know what I mean? Like where they like friggin' like throw us all like in like these homes where they just sedate us to death. Like that's like how they got rid of. That's what they did.
My kids. They'll go down swinging.
No, but that was the whole point of the givers. They would like they would do they would sedate the old people once old people got to a certain age. It was maximum efficiency society. That was the whole point of it. So you were allowed to get married. That was a pleasure that you had. You were allowed to have one child, and then based on your child's testing skills, they got put into a certain like grade or school.
Talking about China.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much China.
China, I think they upped it now because they're so underpopulated now. Because they did the one kid rule for a while, but then
because they killed all the girls.
No, they did they upped the amount of kids that you're allowed to have. Because you were only allowed to have one, but then
isn't that the most populate? No, I think India maybe.
India has a lot of people,
but your generation. I don't know.
We have a lot of information. I think we have access to a lot of information.
Yes, but then there's like, I feel like there's very little application.
Yes, 100%.
Like, okay, great, you know the information. You have no clue how to use a hammer.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, I don't need to use a hammer. It's like, well, somebody does. Like, when all the boomers and Gen X and...
Yeah, but like, for the people that are saying I don't need to use a hammer...
When they die off...
Unless you can code a robot to use a hammer for you... Then you need to use a hammer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I hear people that say that. It's like they're like, I don't need to use this. And I'm like, unless you can code something that can do that for you, that will automatically do that for you, then yeah, you do need to know how to do it.
Yeah, but so like okay, so then I guess if you get to a point where robots are building robots, then
that's where we all die.
Yeah, right.
What do you think like okay, have you ever seen aliens before? Like not actually real life, but like
I've been abducted.
Really?
No.
Oh. No, but like you know how they like don't have like any genitals, they just like are these big like weird looking. I think that aliens are like it's possible that aliens are us from the future.
Could be.
Because they wouldn't need to have sex because they could probably just like make the
brave new world.
They
just make them in a dish.
Yeah, they just make the best for the
why would they make humans though? Why would they make anything biotic?
No, they are us from the future, and they like to watch us because.
Yeah, but if that creature, why would you have that? Why wouldn't you just download your thought, your consciousness into a computer? Because computer is like, it's mechanical.
Yeah, but
you can replace it.
But rust.
So you replace it.
Yeah, but what if you rust before you can replace it?
No, unrustable metal.
Yeah, but then you still...
biotic.
But I think they
biotic creatures are very fragile.
Yeah, but what if they engineered themselves? Because I think they could be biotic, but be also like a cyborg type thing, where it's like maybe. They like genetically like in a lab.
Keep downloading if your biotics die. That seems very inefficient.
Or like they create
get a new
body. No, what if they just create like a regenerative like flesh. You know what I mean? Like your heart never dies because it just is constantly regenerating itself. Yeah, and they have like an IV drip or something, and they do it like that's like their, like, instead of eating meals, you just like, you can also like probably like wear a backpack that like, and then you're just like walking around with a backpack with your, and then you're
Sounds
good.
like a movie script.
We should do this.
Keep working on it.
Okay. I think we should throw like Kim Jong-un in it. That would be sick.
Yep.
He's like the last one that survives. It's just
He
him.
is. Yeah.
No, I think
millions of people he's starving.
North Korea's scary.
Yeah.
Freaky. Anyway, we were talking about a generation. What are our biggest weaknesses as a generation? So we talked about strengths. You said we have a lot of information. Weaknesses. You could have a heyday at this one.
I know.
It's like shoot an arrow up in the sky. Wherever it lands, it's like, yeah. But I think that's for every generation, not just our generation.
Yeah, I agree. I think
there are a lot of weaknesses.
Maybe it's because no generation has really seen a war, like a mass scale.
Yeah, but war created its own problems, because then you had all of this greed and all of this like finish your food. That was a big thing from the.
That has nothing to do with the war. That had to do with the depression.
Oh, I guess that's true.
And
well, most of the time
that
depression.
sync up in the same timeline, but no. I think it's, what is it, the hard times?
Hard times create hard time. Well, no, strong men create, or hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. But it doesn't actually go for men. It can be people.
Yeah.
Like, because
But yeah, I think we're in that weak men.
Yeah, and that's, I mean,
so
I
hard times can come from that. So because there's lack of strength in a society. I mean,
yeah, I think that, but that cycle has been repeated.
Negatives. Oh yeah, it's a cyclical.
Oh, totally.
Probably every generation. I mean, I'm sure Rome dealt with the same thing in its collapse.
Yeah.
But I don't know, weaknesses. Yeah, there's maybe a lack of attention. I don't hang out. That's a hard thing.
That's
like
true.
I could be I'm a critical person. I could probably be way more critical.
Do it. Just
no, but I don't have, like, there's not too much context. Like,
yeah, you don't hang out with a lot of people in my generation. It's pretty much just me, and I'm not really part of my generation.
Right.
I'm like,
you're the
someone
outlier.
said I'm like a I think they said 50, like a 50-year-old head on like 16-year-old shoulders. I was like, yeah, pretty much. Like,
no, I think you're pretty. Your mom's probably pretty Gen Y on you, like in it, you know,
like boomer.
No, I'm Gen Y.
No, you're Gen X. Isn't that what millennial is?
Gen X is the.
No, Gen X is millennials, right?
No, Y.
X, Y, Z. Oh, millennial.
That's why
we're the question. It's like
we're the generation of questioning.
Oh, you're like, why?
Why?
So she's Gen Y. Look, but
she
millennials
is
are kind of crazy.
Tail in. She is almost Gen X.
So she's Gen Y on me?
She's Gen Y.
Yeah, but Gen Y people suck.
She is on the last year of Gen Y.
Oh.
So she is
you
like
just gave away her age. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, but see,
they know you're old now.
There's varying age cutoffs, but yeah. So I'm like, I think I'm 2 years away from it. She was on the cut.
Yeah. So like, okay, what did you mean when you said that? That she's like Gen Y on me?
Oh, she put like a lot of Gen Y in you. Like you got raised on all the same shows we got.
That's true. Yeah. That I literally.
You know? So like your cultural, and she's not let you be a complete product of your generation.
I didn't see a Nickelodeon or Disney Channel show until I was 11.
Yeah, and see, we never had that stuff too, but I knew a ton of friends that had all that.
Yeah, I watched Andy Griffith, like
right, which is like
all the old westerns, Brady Bunch.
That'd be a Gen X. That's like a lot of Gen X.
Yeah,
I mean that would be out there.
Yeah,
I love
like Me TV, like what all the old people watch. Like that was like my. I would watch that all the time. I would dress up as a cowboy. I'd wake up when I was like 5 or 6, or probably, honestly, let's be real, like 8. And I would wake up, and then I'd put a bandana on, put a cowboy hat on, button up my thing, and put like a holster on, and I'd go be a freaking cowboy.
Okay, so Gen Xers would be people that grew up. No, that's the baby boomers. That's a generation. That's like my parents'
Boomers
generation.
is X, right?
No, that is
What
a
is X? Oh,
boomers
X?
is itself baby boomer generation.
Oh, then what's? Oh, X is like the lost generation. Is that what they call them?
Maybe
I think they call them the lost generation because there's like
it's a very small.
didn't do anything.
No, they are alive.
No, but like they didn't.
Those are everyone like in their.
I know, but like
late
millennials, like
40s to 50s right now.
So yeah, so
Gen Xers are.
So that's like the Desert Storm people, like those people.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Desert Storm.
Yeah, like those people, like
they were in their teenage and like older, like almost 20s in the 80s.
No, I wish I was born in the 90s. I was, but I wasn't. Like,
Yeah, so where I was that in the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s
and 2000s.
I want to go to like a mall where everyone has like the poofy hair and like they have like the sick hair and they have like all of the random colors and triangles and stuff. Yeah. Like you can go and like go to like a family video. Like I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like I want to ride with my friends on our bikes and we have like someone in the front basket and we go to family video and we pick up like Scooby-Doo and then we go and like
I feel like you're merging like a million different generations here.
Maybe.
Like 3.
I don't think I know generations.
No.
This is terrible.
Terrible.
This is what my whole show's about.
We're gonna have to edit this out.
Yeah, we're just gonna, yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, I can't be too critical. I mean, I could be critical, like, but I don't know enough.
Alrighty, this is like the last segment of the podcast, and I asked these last whatever 3 or 4 questions. How do you define success?
Yeah, you made it general. Define success.
What is success to you?
Oh, I guess just me personally.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm very successful because I've started and am living in goals that I've set for myself, and I'm very content with them. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be I don't think I'll ever be a rich man, because I mean that's not what I value. I guess to like in my days as a human and could sit back and say, oh yeah, you were successful, would be probably helping the most people that I could. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on this journey to like get back to where I can continue doing that, because we haven't been back to Haiti in a while. So but yeah, that's what I say. But yeah, success for me would be helping people. Yeah.
What do you attribute to your success?
Maybe the drive. Authors too, like reading books that have definitely influenced me.
I think reading is huge, and it's one of the things that I would say is forgotten by my generation. I would say,
oh yeah,
reading, writing, and
Yeah.
physical conversation. That's the 3 biggest things, and
I
those
don't know,
are
you're
the.
like summing up communication. That's how you like convey thought.
I know that's
receive
and it's
thought.
been forgotten. It's like, no, I'm gonna text you, FaceTime you.
It's been deliberately ignored,
Or like
because it's not stimulating.
Yeah,
enough.
now reading, writing, and talking in person. Now it's like, I'm gonna text you, I'll FaceTime you,
Right.
and then I'll maybe stare at you awkwardly across the room. You know, that's what it's like now, and it's like I see this and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, why? I'm like disappointed in my own generation, just a little bit, and that's why I've created this. Is so I'm not disappointed in you anymore. Just kidding.
Yeah, I definitely I've been influenced by a good couple writers.
Totally.
And I don't know, I guess some people in my life, but yeah, I guess also who I am. The drive pushes me. Like I'm a goal setting, go after it, get it done type of person. I'm definitely a doer.
Mm.
But yeah.
What's your biggest life advice?
Life advice?
Just like, or not life advice, just advice in general. Like I asked my 90-something, I think she's almost 100-year-old grandma, I said, what's your biggest life advice? And she said, be still and know. That was it.
That's
And
a
I was
really
like-
good one.
I was like,
That's
wow.
mine. No, yeah,
Okay.
that's original. Gosh, man, these are like such deep questions that I feel like I need.
This is the end gauntlet. This is what I do with the end, because I think this is the way. I like challenging like the most, because if I can challenge the most successful people in having to think, then that's something beautiful.
So say the question again.
What's your biggest life advice?
Life
five
advice.
words. How'd you forget it already?
Because I'm
just kidding.
I'm very analytical,
Mhm.
and so I'm like trying to like break down that thing,
Mhm.
and then it's like it's creating this like huge.
I think it can change too. Like you're gonna be on the podcast again, and I think if you like what pops to your head right now, you know?
So if I'm like dying and I'm like, oh, these are my last words, I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and
Like
influence somebody.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, man.
While you're thinking about it, is
Yeah.
a hot dog a sandwich or is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco?
You just completely derailed my thought.
No, you can be thinking about it, because this one's an easier one. It's obviously a taco, because it's meat inside of a whatever shaped bun. That's what a taco is.
Yeah, why is it a bun?
Huh?
Why is a hot dog bread bun?
Yeah, I mean, but they call like a taco shell.
And why
they
is
call it a taco shell?
why is a hamburger bun a hamburger bun? But if you make a sandwich, that's just bread.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? Is like, you know how in Cars, have you ever watched Cars? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how they have buildings and sidewalks and stuff?
Yeah.
Like why?
It made no sense, huh?
It makes no sense. And how did the building? And then how do they reproduce? You know, I need like Pixar. If you're listening, can you give us like a Cars sex ed video? Like
sick.
like a sex ed class for like all the different Disney movies.
You don't want to talk about pistons on here, man.
Okay.
Life advice.
The Cozy Cone Motel.
I feel like, I don't know, life advice would be like, it's almost a little like cheesy. Like I feel like I need more direction. Like, oh, okay, like
just go. It's not, if you're thinking about it this much, just say.
But I'm over analyzing the heck out of this. Like, okay, advice on what?
No,
like, are we
talking just like in general, something that you think would be valuable that is relatively like useful in a lot of areas.
I'm like seriously coming up blank.
Okay,
this is terrible.
We can skip it.
Terrible material.
No, it's fine.
People are like, oh, I'm gonna listen to him.
Yeah,
talk about him and Han.
Yeah. Okay. What is something that you are trying to overcome in your life right now?
We didn't talk too much about like Heal Farms, but that's the business that I have right now. I think, okay, so like there's two sides to the business, like owning it, since it's literally just me. I am really, really good. So arrogant, but I'm really good at like operations and like implementing projects, logistics,
like the actual farm execution.
Yes. Yeah. So like anything, you know, like any project that I have, I can list all, you know, get all the nuts and bolts and screws and everything, how to build whatever, you know, and this is like metaphorically speaking too, like all the factors involved in that. But then when it comes to like administration, the like tech side of like having the website, the managing of like financial accounts, all that stuff is so like I don't like it.
Yeah.
And being ADHD, probably if you don't like something, it's really hard to like push yourself into it. So like I think that's probably the question was, what am I struggling with?
Yeah, like what your biggest struggle right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle is trying to push myself to doing those things.
Like the business part of it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
I saw like a reel, and it was like, I'm really, really good. Oh no, it was a commercial. It was like, I'm really good at building chairs or something. It's like at having a chair business, but I'm terrible at business. And it's like, that's what I feel, man. It's like, dude, I will grow 10,000 birds if you wanted me to. But like sales and market, like, dude, I'm terrible at that stuff. Like absolutely terrible. So that's like a struggle, and I don't like it's not stimulating for me. There's not enough like moving parts, or maybe I just don't know enough. So yeah, I think that's my biggest struggle right now. Fighting over the, because I'll get lazy on that too. Like if I have downtime, I was like, oh, I just want to relax. Yeah. But like I should be doing that, but it's not stimulating enough. So I'm like, But I think that's kind of my biggest struggle right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell the people, like plug?
Yeah. We are Hill Farms. We're I didn't tell you that so when we started the farm, our goal was to have a farm able to grow for our local community, and a percentage of all of our sales goes to Heal, the nonprofit. So that's why we named the farm Heal Farms, because showing the connection between the nonprofit and the for-profit business. So, but we're pretty excited. We are very close to shipping nationwide. We'll probably start on the central and like eastern coast, and then eventually we'll reach out across the country. But yeah, we're close to launching that. So that's where. I'm struggling because I have to do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then you just order at healfarms.com. And but yeah, that's kind of.
Does the nonprofit take donations?
It does take donations. Yeah, we still have an account and everything.
Yeah, it's
kind of been on. So the goal for the farm was to, because I hated having to I call it professionally beg people for money. I mean, that's what essentially all nonprofits are. You're like, if you work for that, you're a professional beggar. But yeah, I hated that aspect of it, because it was like, it didn't seem right. So it was like, I want to work for to help that organization grow. And so yeah, we still do accept donations, but now with the farm, all that percentage of the profit on the farm then goes to the nonprofit. So that's kind of where we're at now. I see hopefully the farm will be successful enough to where I can employ people, and then I can back off for times to go and continue projects in Haiti. And they need it so much right now, man. It's such a big task it's just terrible what's going on over there. And then hopefully, worldwide. Haiti was the first start, and definitely want to help worldwide.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Sick. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening all the way through today's episode with Uncle Adam, aka Adam Mason. Share with your friends, and we will, if you share on social media, we're going to try and repost our favorites. And yeah, bye everyone. See you.